Hi, welcome to Homeschool Together, and today we're going to be talking about Blossom and Root's Early Years Volume 2 Pre-K curriculum. So this is for ages 4 to 5. It's going to cover reading and writing readiness, math, cooking, art, STEM, and nature studies. It retails at this time for about $45 or $59 if you want to bundle it with the Early Years Volume 1, which we reviewed in a previous video, that was for ages 3 to 4. So let's go ahead and hop inside and take a look at this great curriculum. Okay, so this is the Early Years Volume 2 curriculum from Blossom and Root. Like all the Blossom and Root products, this is a PDF curriculum. So you're going to get the PDF file to print out, and I've just bound it here. As with all Blossom and Root, she's going to give you just a great gentle guide, lots of tips on every subject that you're going to cover. So this is the reading, writing, and math foundations. She gives you a lot to read here on her philosophy and approach, how to build strong foundations in math, and how to develop reading and writing readiness with really hands-on activities. She kind of takes you through some activities. So just a lot of parent guidance, which I really appreciate in this curriculum. I think it's great. You don't have to just jump in and not know exactly what you're going to be doing. So lots, just continuing on reading, writing readiness. So lots there. There's a read together portion of this, so it gives you some tips on how to do read togethers, maybe making discussion, or maybe you do some poetry. So there's some good tips here for parents. And some good hands-on activities to, get crafty or bring your favorite stories to life. So there's some really good activity ideas here to supplement if you'd like to. And then this is all about math, Guide to Math Foundations, with different options for how to do activities and things that are going to help increase the learning with early math. These are some songs and things for counting, which I appreciate. Continuing with early math, so lots and lots of information. We're not even into the weekly guide yet, and this is all kinds of just great primer information that when we did this with our daughter, we felt really prepared, having read all of these guideline sections. Like, okay, once we got into the weeks and it was asking us to do different activities, we felt really well grounded, and we felt like if our daughter was struggling with something or really enjoyed something, that we would have more activities and ideas to continue with because of all this great upfront information. Then there's some information on the STEM and interest-led learning activities and nature studies and the nature notebook. So it's got some good stuff there. There's going to be a picture study, which is part of the art activity. So this goes through the different painters that you're going to be looking at and some tips for doing the picture study. And then once you study a picture, the artistic expression portion is going to be taking off of that picture and either doing a painting or some other kind of drawing, something that picture inspired, whether it's using the same colors that the picture had or maybe the same medium that artist used. So there's a bunch of different ideas, but this gives you a little bit more information about that. There's also a music study, and these are the composers. And this is the second edition of the curriculum, so there's a great mix of composers now and artists. They made it more diverse and just really brought in some different styles of music, especially the first version was mostly all classical, and now there's some Miles Davis in here, and so it's fun. It's fun to get some just different styles and expose us and our kids to different types of music. And then there's a kitchen classroom component. Now with kitchen classroom, they don't tell you what to cook, but she does give you some ideas. And if you go ahead and watch our video on Early Years Volume 1, we do take you through My First Cookbook, which is one of the cookbooks she recommends. It's an America's Test Kitchen book, and it's fantastic. So if you want to watch that, go back and we'll link that one in the show notes here so you can get back and watch that video if you want to take a look at My First Cookbook. All right, and then this is all about the books, how to find books. There's some Mother Goose rhymes and things that are online for free, and she gives you a link to that. And then here's the full book list with a little own, borrow, replace with. I love that she acknowledges we might not be able to find it or we might not own it, that we might make a replacement, and we can just write that right here, by looking at, what the book is. Go to week 5, let's say, is A Very Hungry Caterpillar. We could go to that week and say, okay, what's the main point we're trying to get from this? What else can I find that could sub in for that book? And then we can write it. So I love it. So lots of great books. And then there's some optional books to go with the artists and musicians that she gives you. So you've got some extras for there. This is the entire year's worth of supplies. I love that she lists this. Just tell me what it is. And I love that none of the supplies are, you know, super difficult to find or expensive. They're mostly things you'd have around your house. And if you just keep an eye out for these things, like, you know, you need an empty milk jug, for example, you can start, I just started checking them off as the year went on. And eventually, you know, I got all the items that we needed. So I like that it's a nice comprehensive list of all of your supplies. It's fantastic. Okay, so here's week 1, and you can see our little check marks here. So I'll take you through this first week, and so we can see the structure of the lessons for this. So this is the nature study. So this lesson 1 is about where you live. So it's taking time to walk around outside your house and noticing all of the important perimeters, the fences, borders, features, bodies of water, buildings, almost as if you were making a map, right? So it has you make a list of all the things together, looking at your home from different points of view, and notice how it looks from different perspectives. So really easy, just kind of getting started. And then there's the map work. So this would be one day, let's say, where you make a list of everything. And then the next day, you would go ahead and make a map. So that would be your nature study for the first week. You can, as always with these PDF curriculums, or really with any curriculum, do it in whatever order makes sense for you and your kiddos. You can do things together or separately, do it 5 days a week or 2 days, you know, whatever makes you happy, which I like the freedom, and she really encourages that in the beginning of this too, just like don't be afraid to deviate. So this is the math and STEM, so it's counting out quantities of given numerals, and then assigning numerals to quantities. So this is all about using different items to count, and then singing a counting song. So it's cool. So you count out, and then you'll have groups of things and try to get the numerals associated. So that's awesome. And then the STEM activity is a sink or float, which our daughters always really like. Taking a basin, filling it with water, putting items in it, and seeing what sinks or floats. And then this is how tall am I? So your child stands up against a wall and you mark their height, and then you're going to be doing more things in the coming weeks with their height. So the STEM activities are always pretty similar to this. She'll do things like build something out of blocks or Lego or something, and then give your child the same components that you use to build what you built, and that let them do it. So it's the STEM stuff is, I never found the STEM activities to require, you know, crazy amounts of science experiment type equipment, or they were very, very easy, very low preparation, very fun usually. So I like the STEM activities as a whole. They're very well done. So then we have the visual arts and drama. So you're going to do this picture study. This is The Great Wave by Hokusai. So that's a really famous, I think it's a painting. Almost looks like a drawing. It's so intricate. So the first session, you're going to start talking to them about art. You're going to talk to them a little bit about the artist. And then you're going to show them the artwork at the end. And then you're going to come back and do another session, showing them painting again, reminding them about the artist's name, and trying to kind of think about what are you picking out in the painting? Is it colors or images, people, animals? So you discuss it. And then in session 3, you look at it again. We didn't usually end up doing it in 3 sessions. We tended to do art as a big thing, where we would look at it, we would discuss it, and then we would do the artistic expression part of it while we listened to music. That's usually how our family did it. This suggests doing it in different sessions, and if that works for you, that's great. So the artistic expression part is a marble in a tray. So tape a piece of paper to the bottom of a cookie sheet, with a lip like a baking tray, squirt a little paint, and then you put a marble and you trace it back and forth. So, I mean, that's just a really fun activity. So what we would usually do, we do the study, then we would do the artistic expression while playing whatever music. This is Fanny Mendelssohn. So the music study has you listen to the music, talk about the composer, dance with scarves. Our girls always like dancing with scarves as they listen to the music. And if this music doesn't appeal to your child, our first daughter loved all of the music. She thought it was great. She liked the classical and all of it. And our second daughter was just not into it. She wanted different types of things. We ended up playing movie composer stuff for her. So we would play John Williams or Howard Shore or something like that. She liked that a lot better. So, you know, feel free to sub if you need to. And then the kitchen classroom is encouraging you to get into the kitchen and cook something with your child and all of the learning that you can get out of that. And you can find the tips in the earlier guidelines. So like I say, it doesn't tell you what to cook. It just suggests that you make something with the letter A, whether it's apple slices or baked apples or ants on a log or use avocado in something. So I think what we ended up doing for this is we went to the store and we found things that all started with A, and then we cooked something with those. And that was kind of a fun activity. So that's your kitchen classroom. And then in a read together time, you're going to read a book and you're going to talk about some discussion questions here, you know, just really easy. Like, what was your favorite part of the story? What part of the children's town did you like the best? For this is Roxaboxen. So real easy there. And then poetry is always from Mother Goose, and that's on that free website that she listed earlier in the curriculum. And it says here too, feel free to substitute the Mother Goose poetry selections if you like. We have a couple of good young children's poetry books, and we would just, you know, use some of those. And then this is exploring literature through environment experiences. So this encourages you to spend your time outdoors building your own version of a Roxaboxen. And you would be collecting pieces of, you know, fallen branches or pine cones or stones or things. Or you could do it inside your house using toys, pillows, boxes, that kind of thing. And if it's bad weather outside. So it's kind of like you read the story and then you're going to connect with it through an activity, which is great. And then in reading, writing, readiness, it's all going to be about the letter A this week for the first week. So introducing the capital A in the first lesson, and then finding and tracing it, introducing lowercase a, finding and tracing it, and then talking about letter sounds. So you can do these together, you can do them in different sessions. This has it broken up into 5 days. So decide what works best for you. And that's it, and then we'll be on to week 2. So as you can see, it's definitely more than volume 1, absolutely. But it's still not a crazy number of things to have to do a week. And we found, especially when it came to the letter sounds, some of them our child was already really familiar with and she was already writing those. And it's like, okay, you know, skip the things that you don't need, you can go on. So none of this takes very long, which I really appreciate. And there's plenty of mix of reading and activities, you know, or looking at a picture and activities. So it's a good mix. It's not just all kind of sitting around at a desk and doing work. So I really appreciate this. I think this is great. We would typically do this. Our daughter would go to preschool 2 days a week for like a half a day. And then we would do this for like 2 days at home and then have Friday off. And it never took very long, especially because the activities are varied. You're not sitting and doing one thing for too long, and you can combine things like listening to music while you do an activity. So this was really fun. And then we would do kitchen classroom on the weekend when I was home to cook with the girls. So that wasn't even part of our like normal week. This is a very gentle introduction. This isn't a constant stream of activities. If that's something that you want to have more structured activities that are extremely prescriptive and you want to have lots of things to do every week to keep a very full preschool schedule, I'd really recommend playing preschool. This is much more gentle. Our first daughter loved this curriculum for how gentle it is. Our second daughter wanted more challenge. So I think it depends on your child. Definitely if you're new to homeschooling, if this is your first year doing pre-K, I really recommend that you start here for $45. I mean, you can't beat the price. It's fine. If you decide to go up to if you do playing preschool or you decide to go up to something like a Torchlight pre-K, you're going to find that Torchlight pre-K is much more demanding. And I think if you've been homeschooling for a while, or if your child has been in preschool for several years, that's great. But if you haven't done that before, something like Torchlight pre-K can be more overwhelming. So I like how gentle this is on both parents and kids. And this early years volume 1, volume 2 is our preferred starting point for new families. So I think that's just about it. In the end, there's a couple of recipes and a bunch of clickable links if you have this digitally to find music tracks and things, so that you don't have to just look up that composer. You can actually find, these are all YouTube links that you can use to get specific pieces of music. So that's what's in this curriculum. And now I wanted to show you a couple of the literature selections so that you get an idea for, what kind of things that she uses. So one of the things I like about the literature selections in this curriculum is just how varied they are. You've got classics, like this is The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. This is a classic book. So this is great. Our kids loved The Giving Tree. It's a classic for a reason. Here's another classic, Harry the Dirty Dog. Our kids also really enjoyed this. None of them are very long, not a lot of words, high on visuals, which is great. And then here's a modern classic from Julia Donaldson, the Gruffalo, which our kids also really love. So it's a nice mix kind of new and old. And then there is some great social emotional stuff. This is Too Many Mangoes. This is all about sharing. So it's a bit more diverse, and it's teaches some great lessons, has great artwork. So overall, it was a really nice mix of books. We did not find any issues finding the books at the library. We own some of them, but the ones that we didn't own, nothing seemed difficult to source. And of course, easy to sub, because the book that you're going to read for the week has a connection to the activity that you're going to do. So like, for example, Roxaboxen was the first one, but you could have subbed with The Fort or another book. You can find a book with a similar theme to that activity, and then you should be all set. But overall, I think it's a really strong book list that was easy to find in this second edition of the curriculum. So that's Blossom and Root Early Years Volume 2. We hope that this in-depth walkthrough helped you to determine if this is the right fit for your family. We're big fans of Blossom and Root curriculum in general, and this in particular is a great, gentle way to start. So if it's your first year homeschooling, definitely check this out. Take a look at the sample that's available on their website so you can get even more time to look at this, but I think you really can't go wrong with Blossom and Root. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more reviews from Homeschool Together.